Salut, c'est Marie de Just French It. In today's podcast, we are going to talk about language learning. Okay, we are going to talk, and we talk about that a lot around here, about language learning, right? That's the theme. But if you are just starting out your language learning journey, then this podcast today, this is going to help you, this is going to interest you, and also it is going to make your learning journey in general less frustrating. Because of course you know that we don't live in a perfect world where everything we try turns out easy. I mean, tell that to like the foolproof cake recipe you tried last month, or the easy to close plastic containers. Oh, I hate those ones. But you know, learning languages is pretty easy, and we already talked about that in another podcast, or at least it's not as hard as what a lot of people are trying to make you believe. But there are a few obstacles to overcome. You know, you have to be clear, and I have to be clear with you. There are a few obstacles to overcome. And I'm thinking straight away of the Intermediate Plateau, for example. The Intermediate Plateau is when you reach the intermediate level, and at this point, a lot of people feel like they are not making progress anymore. This might be your case if you are already there. Don't worry, it's something that happened, and there are ways to overcome this. This is not really what we're going to talk about today, but it's still going to help you along the way. So to help you, whatever level you are right now, you can be a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced learner already. I want you to remember and to really listen to those 3 fundamental truths about language learning that you need to come to terms with. So first one is that learning is a journey, because since the beginning of this podcast, I've talked about your language learning journey, right? And the word journey is really, really, really important there, because it tells you that it's not going to be linear, right? There will be bumps and stops and digressions and curves. You know, progress of any kind is never simply straightforward. It's going to take time. You're going to need time to rest your brain, to let the information sink, to wrap your head around concepts, right? All those things takes time. So one thing I can tell you right now, if you are just starting out your first language, you won't be fluent in 3 months. This is a big one as well. Time. Chances are you won't be fluent in a year either. And you need to accept that time variable to your learning, because if you do not, you will never really push beyond the first few obstacles, and that really will be a shame, because it's not that hard to do. So one way to overcome those obstacles and to make them easier to overcome as well is to think of language learning as a journey. Like, you know, like something epic with battles and heroes and dragons, and you are the hero of it and you have to get to the goal. You know, something that you learn bits here and there alongside the road. You know, when a hero is on a journey, on a quest, he's not learning constantly with clear places where he's learning. He's learning bits here and there with whatever he meets, whoever he meets, and whatever he does. And so rather than racing and rushing language learning, you need to take it as if you were taking an alternative route and to just, you know, enjoy it. The second truth of language learning is that you're going to get it wrong over and over and over again. Truly. Because I hate to break it to you if you don't know that already, but you are not perfect, and you'll never be and you'll never become perfect. It's out. And you know, when I say this, people generally reply to me that I'm mean. But no, I'm not mean. Because I don't know about you, but when I realized that, when I finally come to terms with that, it took such a huge load. Oh, such a huge, all right, huge load. No, I'm not that French. It took such a huge load off my shoulders, you know. And especially when it comes to language learning, it should free you to become a much better learner. It seems a bit contradictory, right? I'm telling you that not expecting to be perfect is going to make you better. But look at it this way. Because if mistakes are inevitable, if you know that you are not perfect, if you know that you cannot be perfect, then making mistakes becomes less important, right? No big deal. It's like It's like a baby who's learning how to walk. You don't expect a baby to be perfect, right? You expect him or her to fall a few times, right? So expect that from you as well. So if it's not such a big deal to be wrong, if it's not bad, if it's not something, that is wrong with you, then surely you can speak whatever your level is because you are not afraid of making those mistakes. The baby is not afraid to fall, and that's why he keeps trying. He keeps trying. And that's why this baby is going to walk. And for you, because speaking is essential to learning, especially, to learning a language, since it often is the end goal, then if you are not afraid to speak and that it's not a big deal that you make mistakes, then you're going to do it, right? And then you will get better results because you are actually going to do it. So please don't be afraid of making mistakes because nobody's perfect. You are not perfect. I am not perfect. And if those mistakes, it is actually those mistakes, those, whatever you want to call them, that are going to make you grow in the end. The third and final truth that I wanted to talk about with you today is this one. You probably won't ever be fluent like you imagine it. But that doesn't mean that it's not worth it. And I assure you, I really don't want to be rude to you or mean when I say that it really is for you. And my goal here is to motivate you, not taking you down. So listen to me. Fluency is often what people want to achieve. A lot of learners come to me and they say, I want to be fluent. I want to speak French. And when someone's saying I want to speak French, what they generally mean is I want to speak it so more or less perfectly, or at least to a level that would maybe allow me to pass as a native. Or they want to get rid of the accent, which kind of is the same problem in the end. And I mean, I've met a lot of people who speak languages, and I've heard a few English natives that could speak French almost like a native. But to my ears anyway, they weren't, because when their accent was perfect, their grammar lacked the spontaneity of someone who has been speaking French at home since she's a baby. And you know what? It really doesn't matter, because learning languages is much more than that. It's not about being perfect, because when you know another language, maybe at a level that is advanced enough, you get to experience your life, your culture, your country, and yourself from an outsider point of view. And that's really, really powerful. And if you do not speak another language right now, you might be thinking, she's completely crazy. But really, believe me, when you speak another language, when you become bilingual, or when you just, are capable to speak with another person and, think in another language, it's so amazing. You get to meet people, and truly meet people, especially natives in that case, without a language barrier, or with a language barrier that is, less than what it is usually. And you understand them. You understand those people on a much more deeper level, And you get to learn so much about it. You get to grow so much as a person. And you can use that learning also for something concrete later on. So being fluent for your own sake, for your own satisfaction, is actually a bit secondary. It doesn't matter. If what I said today sounds good to you, then if you are ready to accept those truths, and if you are ready to go on in the path of language learning with me, you should hop on board and sign up for the private emails, to get notified when I publish new content, and you can also receive the info I only send via emails as well. To do so, you check the description, or you go to justfrenchit.com and you click on emails. I hope you really enjoyed this podcast. I hope that you take into consideration what I said today. And if you want to know more, there's plenty more podcasts like this on the blog. Have the best of day. I'll see you in another podcast. Bye-bye.